Okay, we should be live. Let's check it's connected with YouTube. That looks all good. There we go. All right. Um, Thank you everyone for tuning in. Welcome to this week's episode of Techie Tuesdays. As you can see by the title, we'll be focusing on cyber essentials and how Automox can help you achieve your cyber essentials certification. So sometimes cyber essentials can be tricky to cover. There are certain management platforms that don't cover um, that aren't as strong in terms of patch management. Sometimes it's simply just the management of endpoints and not the patches based on vulnerabilities. And specifically the vulnerabilities that are categorized as high or critical in the CVSS 3.0 vulnerability rating system. So you can see this is my test Automox console. I'm in a demo zone. I've got 3 endpoints here. 2 of them are Windows endpoints, and 1 of them is Ubuntu. However, all I'm going to be focusing on today is simply patch management of high and critical rated vulnerabilities, specifically to do with the applications, and how to patch them within 14 days of detection. And I say specifically 14 days of detection because in the Cyber Essentials requirements and framework, you can see that under security update management, the requirements is to have updated, including applying any manual configuration changes required to make an update effective within 14 days of an update being released, where specifically the update fixes vulnerabilities described by the vendor as critical or high risk. And then the update addresses for vulnerabilities with a CVSS v3 score of 7 or above, and there are no details of the vulnerabilities the update fixes provided by the vendor. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Automox Rank makes it very easy for you. It's in the name, it's automated. You can set up policies for specific times in the day to update. If you want to do it outside of business hours, you can also set it to that as well to not interfere with any productivity. So let's go into the Manage tab and let's go into Policies. Now let's use an example. Oh, I've just been logged out of my session. Let's quickly get back in again. So we're back in the demo zone. So you can see here are the policies. We're going to be specifically focusing on updating Windows, but this also covers based on the vulnerability index as well. So let's create a policy. And I would like to also show importing vulnerabilities from SentinelOne into Automox. If you are a SentinelOne customer with us, or you're interested in becoming a SentinelOne partner or an Automox partner, get in contact with us below at info@cybervigilance.uk. We can actually help you with integrating your vulnerabilities from SentinelOne and importing them into Automox. We can do that for you. So, create a policy. Let's do a patch, and you can see that you've configured them from all, only, accept, manual, severity, advanced. You can press severity, for instance. I'm not. It's just simply a patch, not required software at work. Look, you can go next, and you can see the type is by severity. You can set your policy name, and if you were doing Windows updates, for instance, you could install operational and recommended Windows updates. You can see that the package targeting to check the severities that you want to see patched. Here is where you will select critical and high for the software that you're trying to update. So let's say, for instance, Chrome had a critical vulnerability or a high vulnerability, and to remain in compliance with Cyber Essentials, you need to have these updated within 14 days. As anything, you should have it updated as soon as possible, but 14 days is sort of the limit. I would always recommend to have, anything medium mitigated or patched at least. And this is something outside of the Cyber Essentials field, but multiple vulnerabilities can be tied together to create something that's critical. There are certain examples, I can't name them off the top of my head though, but multiple medium to low vulnerabilities can be used together to all add up into critical RCE, or sometimes there's even a 0 day. Sometimes it's never even been seen before. Um, so it's important to stay on top of your vulnerabilities, and especially get critical and high patched as soon as possible. So you can see critical and high, and you can see you've got your device targeting. So if you want to target specific devices, so you can see if it's a certain IP address, if it's under a host name, certain OS version. You also have Active Directory and the condition based on your attribute, but I'm not going to select that. And here's your schedule. So you can either select all, and it will do it at all times in the day as soon as possible, specifically at what time you set it to, not all times in the day. If a device misses a configured patch time, it will patch the next time the device checks in. You can enable that, but if you have, say, if this is like a server, for instance, you might want to think twice about enabling this. But it's up to you and your situation. And you also have the user notifications, just to let the user know what's happening on their endpoint. Say if there's a high technical operation with some specific users on the device, and they need to know exactly what's happening with their endpoint at all times, you can enable that. You can also associate the policy by groups, and that is how you create a policy based on severity of the vulnerabilities. I'm going to bring your attention to the software tab. I'm just going to cancel this. So you can also see that the severity for the software on your devices on the software tab is listed. So I want to see if we can pull this up. So I don't currently have any known CVEs from Automox side. However, if I go on to Sentinel-1, I will show you the difference. And what importing Sentinel-1 to Automox would look like. However, there is one caveat, is that the CSV format is formatted differently, so it won't automatically import into Automox. You will need to change it. Let's type in code. And then we'll go into applications. And I want to okay, here we go. My Ubuntu demo. You can see I've got NetPBM to 10.0, and that's a vulnerability score of 7.5. So you can import this by pressing export on Sentinel-1. Now, this CSV format cannot be natively imported into Automox. You will have to rearrange it. When you import, go into remediation, so you can say manual import and get started, and then upload the CSV format. It needs to be based on this expected format. If you are looking to do this, get in contact with us. We can help you with this. We can help you format it. And then the remediations will show up for you. Or if you have Rapid 7, makes things a bit easier. So that is just one aspect of achieving Cyber Essentials or maintaining it with Automox. And that's based on critical and high vulnerability patching of software that are on your endpoints. So if you enjoyed, let me know, like the video, subscribe to us. If you're interested in getting in contact with us, you can get in contact with us at info@cybervigilance.uk. Haven't checked the YouTube chat. That's all good. All right, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.